Good morning, everybody. I hope you are all doing great and you are having a wonderful Wednesday morning. Here in northern Indiana, it is a balmy 1 degree Fahrenheit. If that type of weather does not make you want to just run to a cruise port, I don't know what it is. When I woke up this morning, it was actually -6. This may be the coldest day of 2022 that we've seen so far, but it is freezing. So I'm happy to be inside. I'm happy to be here with my cup of coffee and with all of you. There is, like every week, so much to talk about. I feel like I could just pick one of the things that I want to chat about today and go basically the whole hour because the cruise news just does not stop. And this week has been the wildest, I think, of all of the weeks that we've seen in a while. Specifically with one cruise line, and we're going to get into that here in a minute. But thank you again for joining us. If this is your first time here, my name is Jordan. Our channel is JJ Cruise. We are a YouTube channel all about the obsession that is cruising. I know if you've been a subscriber for a while now, you've probably heard me say that so many times. You're like, Jordan, we get it. We know who you are. But if you are new, thank you so much. And thank you in advance for everyone that has hit the subscribe button. We've been seeing some incredible and exciting growth over the last few weeks. We're about 1,500 subscribers away from that 20K goal. So we are so excited. So thank you if you are a recent subscriber or someone that's stuck around and been here for a while. Thank you for continuing to subscribe. We really, really appreciate all of you being here. Okay, so I hope that you have your coffee. If so, cheers. Good morning. We're going to take a sip and we're going to jump right into hot topics. And we cannot not talk about Crystal Cruise Lines. This is just nuts what is going on with Crystal. And I'm sure at this point, most people have already seen it. I'll give a very brief recap. This whole saga started last Wednesday when Peninsula Petroleum Far East filed a lawsuit against Crystal Cruise Line for unpaid oil bills. So basically, Crystal had been bringing its ships in to gas up before its voyages, and they had not been paying their bills at all. There was a total of $4.6 million in unpaid gas bills, but a chunk of that was specifically for the Crystal Symphony. Now, so that was Wednesday, right? Thursday, a judge ordered an arrest warrant out for that ship. And how that works is as soon as the ship comes back into US waters, it basically is now under that arrest. So it is in the hands of the United States government, and they will basically take the ship and they will keep it. And there will be no more cruises on that ship. So what did Crystal do? Crystal said, okay, well, we're not going back to the US then, and dropped all of its passengers in Bimini, Bahamas, made all those people get off the ship, and then they all had to travel via ferry back to Florida. What is so wild is we've heard from one of the first passengers aboard that ship. I've been waiting for someone to talk to one of the passengers, and I've been putting stuff out there online trying to see if we could get in contact with someone. Well, a media outlet did finally get in touch with one of the passengers, and they described the ferry ride back to Florida as scary and unnerving due to bad conditions. So basically, it was like super wavy. They were in these small ferries coming back. Now, of course, ferries run from Florida to the Bahamas every single day. You can get to Bimini on a ferry. So it's not like this is something that's abnormal. But if you are used to traveling on a cruise ship and not used to taking small ferry boats and island hopping in the Caribbean, I can imagine that this experience would be quite different for you. Um, and especially for how much these people paid, I am sure it was a really poor way to end their vacation. Now, my hot take on this, I think Crystal Cruise Lines is probably going away for good. Their parent company, the Gentings Group, filed for bankruptcy earlier this month. They said that they would be out of money by the end of January and they were going to start selling off their assets. Well, their assets are cruise ships. They own a number of cruise lines. They even have one of their cruise lines. They have a brand new ship that is currently being built. So that really stinks for the builders of the cruise ship. Obviously, that cruise ship will hopefully be purchased by another cruise line. But what happens when a cruise line goes out of business like this? Like, what happens? Typically, their cruise ships will get purchased by other cruise lines. All of the different major cruise lines we've seen purchase and pick up ships. Norwegian is notorious for buying cruise ships. So there's a good chance that the Crystal Cruise Line ships, if they do go out for good, which this is again just my opinion, we don't know this for sure. I think that the cruise ships will probably be sold off and then sent off to another cruise line. It's definitely very sad. I know that there's a lot of people out there that like Crystal. It is something that is due to the pandemic. The CEO of the Gentings Group, who stepped down, by the way, said that this is a direct result of COVID. They said that the company lost $1.7 billion over the last 20 months. That is a huge number, and I'm not surprised that the company is folding after losing that much money. So, again, I'm sure that you've heard this reported on from other places. If you had a Crystal cruise coming up, I am so sorry. Obviously, the cruises are currently suspended through April. Their river cruises, which they also have, are suspended through May. Who knows? There could also be another like holding group or another firm that could come in and purchase this cruise line, and then Crystal Cruise Line could continue to kind of operate as normal. But at the very least, it's going to be under a different parent company. It will be under a new umbrella of leadership, and with hopefully some new money coming in, so that they can really revive that cruise line and pump some more resources back into it. Also, in my hot topics today, I wanted to talk about residential cruise lines. So this is something that is becoming more and more common, or at least I should say the talks online are becoming more and more common. We obviously saw Royal Caribbean is taking one of the longest cruises in history on its world cruise, visiting all 7 continents, all wonders of the world. Well, there is a new cruise line called Storylines that is taking it even a step further. They're saying you can basically have a mortgage and live on a cruise ship. Now, their model is very interesting. That first off, the introductory price starts at $400,000, but there's additional fees and cost on top of that. So when you think about, okay, owning a cabin, let's say, and it would be maybe a little bit bigger than your standard cruise cabin for $400,000, that's not that bad of a deal. However, there's additional cost on top of that make it much more pricey and a lot more expensive. Prices for the cabins on the cruise ship do go up to $1 million as well. They have a very interesting it's an interesting take that they're doing on this, because they are basically saying that they will work with you to help rent out either your room on the ship, or they will introduce you to a realtor that can help you rent out your house. So the idea here is you would leave everything behind and go to sea. You would either rent your house out full time or sell your house and then go live on the cruise ship part time for a minimum of 3 months per year, or full time up to 12 months per year. I want to know in the comments, is this something that you would do? Would you ever consider ditching your house and living on a cruise ship? I love cruising. That is no secret. I am undecided right now if this is something that I would go and do, only because I do like to come back to land sometimes. But then here I am. I've been at home for the last 6 weeks, and I'm like really ready to get back out at sea. So I don't know. I think for me, the cabin would have to be a little bit bigger. I don't think that I could permanently live in a 250 square foot room. And I mean, that's a balcony. If it was an inside, you're talking like 150 to 180 square feet of space. I would need a little bit more space than that, I think, really to be able to enjoy being on the ship, because you're not going to be going to constant entertainment, and you are going to be spending a little bit more time in your space, right? While there may be entertainment on these ships, that's your house now. So it's not like you are going there to, just see all of these different shows and have all these new experiences. If they have a couple of shows, you're going to see those a couple of times, and then you're going to go back to your room. So I don't think that I would necessarily enjoy living on a cruise ship, especially for the price that they're charging. Would I try it for 3 months? Yes, I would. I would absolutely try anything like that. I would go on a world cruise. I would spend a year at sea easily if I knew that I had a place to come back to and call home. But I want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments what you think. If that's something that you would do, if you would actually want to live on a cruise ship, or if you would purchase a cruise cabin to live on. All right, now let's talk about the headliner for the show today. If you saw the title, we came up with a really interesting title here. It says 500 prohibited items confiscated off of a cruise ship. I don't know if you have heard about what has happened, but there's a couple that recently took a cruise out of New Orleans. And this couple, while they were on their cruise, collected a lot of different items from the ocean. They collected seashells, they collected coral, they collected sea fans, they even collected some living like sea creatures and urchins, starfish, and they were going to take it all back for an art installation. Well, if you don't know this and you're about to go on a cruise, it's time for you to find out that's illegal. You cannot take things off of the beach or off of the islands and bring them back into the United States. And that is for preservation of the waters. Obviously, when you take coral, if you pick living coral out of the ocean, that could affect an entire section of a reef. And that could make a whole bunch of coral die. If you take sea urchins out of their natural habitat, they're going to die. So this is illegal. And I'm assuming that this couple, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm assuming they did not know this and that they kind of just went, ignorantly into the waters and took all of this stuff, over 500 pieces of sea life and shells, and they thought that it would be fine. Well, as they were getting off the ship in New Orleans last week, someone noticed them lugging all of this stuff off the ship. And here's another little tip. If you look like you're obviously taking off a lot more than you went on the ship with, you're going to get pulled aside. And this couple got pulled aside. They got taken into customs, where the FBI did a search and found 509 items that were illegally being brought into the United States. Now, it is still unknown if this couple is going to receive a fine or if they're going to be charged for anything. The FBI did confiscate all of their items. They did say they weren't aware that this was a law. And, needless to say, that art installation is not going to be happening for this couple. But this brings up a really good point, and it's something that is important to know. Even something as simple as a seashell cannot be brought back into the United States. That is not allowed. And I think that this is a common mistake that people make quite frequently, because you go to the beach, you collect seashells, you bring them back, people make Christmas ornaments out of them. There's a lot of different, people collect them, put them in jars, use them for decor. Well, when you go out of the United States, you're not allowed to do that. You are technically breaking a law if you are bringing back seashells into the US, and you could get in trouble. There could be a fine for that. You could get charged. You could have to go to court. And you don't want any of that, especially coming back from your vacation. Life post vacation is already hard enough. Let's not make it even harder by having to go to court. Do you agree with me? I mean, but I feel like this is something people don't know. I feel like people don't realize that if your kids are picking up seashells off of the beach in Jamaica, that they're technically breaking a law if you bring those back. If they're collecting seashells, leave them there, throw them back into the water. It's not worth the mess and the nightmare that you could find yourself in after you come back from your vacation. So don't bring home those seashells. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. It's not going to be worth it. Okay, let's get into my segment called Hey Captain, What's Happening, where we talk about cruise news. I know some of the stuff that I just shared, especially regarding Crystal Cruises, is technically cruise news. However, I do just want to bring up some really important headlines that we have saved for the week. We did not release a couple of cruise news videos earlier this week because I wanted to talk about them here with all of you and have you hear them here on The Wake. Biggest thing that is happening, well, this isn't the biggest, but I think it's a pretty big thing that's happening this week, is Virgin Voyages announced that they are going to be redoing their staterooms. What are they primarily going to be doing? They're going to be installing additional storage into their staterooms. I cannot tell you how happy I am to hear this. If you've watched our Virgin review, if you were on we had a Patreon live earlier this week. So our Patreons have already kind of heard me go on the spiel. The storage on Virgin Voyages is terrible. They did not think this through, especially for longer voyages. The entire time that I was in my cabin in Virgin, I had to have a suitcase open and on the middle of the floor because I didn't have enough room for my clothes. We were only on a 4-night sailing, so it's not like we were on a long sailing, but there just was not enough storage. And this was our biggest complaint. This was what we put on our post-cruise survey. We talked about this in our Virgin Voyages review. So if you've seen that, you've already heard me go on the spiel. I will not take too much time talking about this, I promise, but I'm really happy because I love it when cruise lines actually listen to their passengers. That's the whole point of a post-cruise survey. They want to know, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Who do you want to call out that's giving you phenomenal phenomenal service? Those surveys make a huge difference, and it's so important that you make your voice heard when you're coming off of a cruise ship, because that's going to help the cruise lines change the issues. And Virgin Voyage's biggest issue, in my opinion, was the storage in their cabins. Cruise cabins are small enough; you have to have great storage. Kudos to I'm going to give kudos to Mardi Gras right now. Carnival Mardi Gras, that was one of the smallest cabins I think that we stayed in 2021. And they had some of the most phenomenal and innovative storage in a small room I've seen on a cruise ship. There's a lot of cruise ships that do storage well. There's a lot of cruise ships that do storage very poorly and do not do them well. Mardi Gras definitely did the best. If you're taking a Mardi Gras vacation anytime soon, Carnival has stepped up their game when it comes to storage in their rooms. Maybe if you've been on Mardi Gras, you'll agree with me. If you've been on Virgin Voyages, you might agree with me. But I'm really happy to hear Virgin is going to be changing the storage in their rooms. Now, this change has already happened. They're starting on the Scarlet Lady right away while they're at sea. Almost no cruise ship is sailing at full capacity. So my guess is, if there's 50% of guests or cabins that are being occupied during any given sailing on the Scarlet Lady, those other 50% of the rooms are going to be worked on, and they're going to be getting, this additional storage and the facelift in the room. Super happy about this. Virgin, thank you so much for listening to all of us. Jared and I, we're not the only ones that have said this. I know other people have been on Virgin Voyages and have said this. So cheers to Virgin. I'm excited now to go back on one of their ships and find out what the changes are going to be and what this new storage is being implemented. All right, next, Celebrity has moved its ship Infinity from Europe to the Caribbean for next summer. So all of Celebrity Infinity's European sailings for summer 2022 have now been canceled, and that ship is moving over to the Caribbean. Now, I am actually not surprised by this change at all, and I'll tell you why. Jared and I have been doing a lot more sailing on Celebrity lately, and we really, really love Celebrity Cruise Line. We were looking at potentially taking a cruise this summer and found that there was only one cruise ship with Celebrity that was going to be doing Caribbean sailings this summer, and that was Celebrity Equinox. All other cruise ships were going to be in different parts of the world, either on the west coast of the United States. They have one that's going to be doing Mexican Riviera. They, of course, have a couple of ships in Alaska, and then the rest were going to be in Europe. We were just shocked by this because the Caribbean is technically known as the cruise capital of the world, and it is where the most cruise ships will go out of, Florida specifically. So we were shocked that the Equinox was going to be the only Celebrity cruise ship out of the Caribbean for the summer. My guess is that this move was probably made due to a lack of sales on the ship. Of course, when you're going into the Mediterranean and you have Celebrity Edge, Apex, and now Celebrity Beyond all doing sailings next summer, the Infinity, while it's a great ship, it's just not gonna. I think it's gonna have a hard time competing with those other ships over in Europe. So I think this was a good move for Celebrity. Of course, if you were on that sailing in Europe this summer, I am so sorry. Hopefully, Celebrity has done you right, and hopefully you can move to another one of the newer ships. Hey, if you have an opportunity to move from Infinity to Beyond, do it, because I've heard that it's going to be an amazing ship. Captain Kate herself will be there for part of its inaugural season, and it's going to just be an incredible time. We are not on Beyond this summer, and I'm very sad about it because I would love to be on that ship. So looking forward to seeing what itineraries are released on Infinity once it does come over here, and that might give us an option to take another cruise this summer with Celebrity. Princess Cruise Line has named Chef Rudy Sodeman as the head of culinary arts for Princess Cruises. This is really exciting. If you're not familiar with who Chef Rudy is, he was the head chef for Holland America for many years. And then when they brought out Carnival's new Excel class, they gave Rudy his own restaurant. I have personally not eaten at his seafood restaurant on the Mardi Gras, but from everyone who has, I hear it is one of the best restaurants at sea, and it is the best food on the Carnival Mardi Gras. So this is exciting for Princess. A lot of people love this chef. He does a lot of amazing, fun, and innovative things with his food. Anyone that talks about Chef Rudy talks about his food as just being amazing. So this is exciting news for Princess Cruise Line. And if you are sailing Princess soon, will we see a change up in their food? We'll just have to see. Last but certainly not least, Carnival Jubilee is now open for bookings. And I know this is not coming as a surprise to anybody because this is what almost broke the internet yesterday. I could not get on Facebook without seeing a post from someone else that had booked Carnival Jubilee. Sailings are now open for bookings starting in November 2023, technically October as well, because its first sailing does take off out of Southampton, England, starting on October 30th. If, of course, you're interested in sailing on Carnival Jubilee, definitely feel free to reach out to us. I already have some of the JJ crew that's going to be going on the Jubilee. Really, really excited for them. And Jared and I are definitely looking at bookings as well. So you can always check out my email in the link below. It's jordan@lovelandandsea.com. I'd be more than happy to pull some quotes for you on that ship. But we are so excited that Jubilee is going to be coming here out of Galveston and doing sailings in the Caribbean starting very, very soon. I'm not going to lie, that transatlantic, we've been looking at that too. That itinerary looks awesome. It goes to a lot of smaller islands as it's coming across from Southampton, England to Galveston, Texas. I think that sailing is going to be incredible too. So if you're interested or have questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Okay, let's talk about the money saving tip of the week. And while this is something that I know people know about for the most part, I still come across people that have not heard this, don't realize this, and it is something that people often forget about. I am the person number one here that forgets about this because this is not something Jared and I typically do, and then we always regret it. You can bring alcohol onto your cruise. For the most part, most cruise lines allow you to bring 2 bottles of wine per stateroom or a certain number of beer, maybe 6 beers per person, into your stateroom for your sailing. This is something people don't realize. And honestly, this is a big money saver. Number one, because bottles of wine on the ship are very expensive. They upcharge bottles of wine on ship by 1,000 or more percent. I'll never forget. I'm not going to say what cruise line we were on. I'm not going to say where we were, but a sommelier poured me a glass of wine and I was like, wow, this is really good. He's like, yeah, it's one of my favorites. He brings over the bottle. The bottle was a $75 bottle of wine if Jared and I were to have purchased it. I look up that bottle online. It's $13.99. $13.99. If you're looking to cut costs and save money for your cruise vacation, bring your favorite wine with you on the ship. Now, the only thing that I'm going to say is you want to make sure that you put this in your checked luggage, or I'm so sorry, not your checked luggage, your carry-on luggage. Do not put it in your checked luggage because if it goes in your checked luggage, they could confiscate it and take it away from you. If you carry it on, you're probably going to have to get it checked. They're going to look at it and they're going to let you go on your way. But put it in your carry-on luggage and take your wine with you on the ship. It will help you save money and you don't have to Spend time trying a lot of new wines, looking for one that you might like if you already have your favorite wine in your back pocket. The other thing that I think is good to note here is beer is also something that is very expensive on cruise lines. It can be 7, $8 for a bottle of beer. You can get a 6 pack for normally $10. So, it's kind of like if you buy it at the store and take it on your cruise, it's like buy one, get five free compared to the price that you're going to pay on the cruise line. So, take your beer, take your wine with you. Check with the cruise line before you go as to what's allowed, because the cruise lines, for the most part, the two bottles of wine per stateroom, that's pretty standard. But the beer allowance can be different from ship to or from cruise line to cruise line. So definitely check that out before you go on your trip. All right, it is coffee time. Feel free to take a sip of coffee with me. We still have a lot going on here. Um, I always try to share some fun or interesting tips every single week. Obviously, we try to have a money saving tip, but this week I wanted to share our top tips for researching and booking an excursion. Now, excursions are, of course, the land based part of your cruise vacation. Cruise lines often offer a number of different excursions, but so do third party operators. There's a lot of third parties out there that will offer a variety of cruise lines, and travel agents can actually book those for you. So that's something that just to keep in mind when you are taking your cruise. But in terms of looking for the perfect excursion for your family, where would you even start? So I just want to share what we do when we're looking to take an excursion. Tip number one is go to TripAdvisor and read the TripAdvisor reviews. TripAdvisor is great for seeing what people are saying about different excursions. And most excursions around the world can be found on TripAdvisor. And if it's not technically an excursion, but it's like a place to visit, like a beach or a museum or a restaurant to visit, you can check that out on TripAdvisor too. It'll tell you like the top rated things for activities, restaurants, bars, wherever you're going, and you could make a day out of this yourself. Jared and I have done this a number of times in Puerto Rico. In San Juan, we'll check out TripAdvisor to see what people are saying about restaurants, and then we'll get off the ship and we'll go find that restaurant just on our own, or a bar, or a certain special activity that might not be an excursion you find on a ship. So check out TripAdvisor. Tip number two: join the roll call either on Cruise Critic or Facebook for your specific sailing, and take advice from people in that roll call group. Often in roll calls, especially people that are admins of the group, may have sailed on the ship before, may have gone on a similar itinerary. Maybe people in that group are well seasoned cruisers and have been to the islands that you're visiting. Feel free to put yourself out there. Say, hey friends, thanks so much for accepting me into the group. I'm going to Aruba for the first time. What would you recommend me and my family do for one day in Aruba? And people are going to give you a number of ideas and really, really good suggestions in terms of what you should be doing for your excursion or your time on that island. Tip number three: feel free to speak with a TA. I am not just plugging my personal TA business, but any TA that you may use is probably going to have a good background and knowledge of excursions and things to do on certain islands. So don't be afraid to reach out to a TA for help with getting their advice and booking that excursion for you, because TAs are able to do that. Tip number four, of course, I had to throw this one in there. This one maybe is a little bit of a plug for JJ Cruise. Watch YouTube. Almost all of your favorite YouTubers are going to have excursion content on their channels, and they're going to have places that you're going to, potentially want to visit and check out prior to actually getting to your destination. So search things like top excursions for San Juan, Puerto Rico, or the top 5 things to do in St. Martin. Throw those types of keywords into your search bar, because videos are going to pop up that are going to give you really good content or really good ideas in terms of what you should be doing on the day that you are at port. Tip number 5, and this is an important one: don't let the price fool you. More expensive does not always mean better. And I say this because there are a number of excursions, and the cruise lines do this. Sometimes third party vendors do this, that end up getting inflated and cost a lot more money than what the excursion is actually worth. So do your research or have a TA do your research for you in terms of the lowest price that you can get. And no, just because a private beach is going to cost you $200 to go to doesn't mean it's going to be as good as the $50 beach that's an all inclusive, includes all of your drink and food for the day. Do your research because more money does not equal better excursion or better experience. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. Tip number 6, always check to see if food and water are included in your excursion. And if not, make a plan to eat before your excursion and bring water with you. I have been in this scenario before where I've been on an excursion that did not include water. It was a 4-hour excursion in the Caribbean. I was drenched in sweat. I'm sorry for that graphic image. It was disgusting. But I was so thirsty and there was no water to be found because we were on a tour, like a hiking tour. Always check to see if your water and food are included in your excursion. And if not, make a plan. Last but not least, always read the fine print and understand the travel time that is included in this excursion. Now, I want to use a very specific example for this tip. A lot of people want to visit Chichen Itza, which is in Mexico. That's where the old Mayan temples are. And it is an excursion that you can typically go to when you go to Cozumel. What people do not realize is that excursion takes about 2.5 hours to travel to from the ship. So while your excursion is like a 9 or 10 hour excursion, you're spending half of that time between 4 and 5 hours on a bus or on a boat as well, because typically you get off in Cozumel, then you have to take a boat over to the mainland, and then you travel by bus to the excursion. Always check this out. I use this as an example because Jared and I did this specifically in Mexico the day after New Year's. This was New Year's Eve 2019, going into 2020. We had booked and planned to go to Chichen Itza on January 1st after New Year's. And we were like, what were we thinking? Because we had to wake up at like 6 a.m. after, of course, partying super late at night. We didn't realize that we had to get on a boat and then take a bus. Full disclosure, we ended up canceling the excursion last minute, and thankfully we could get a refund. But you want to make sure that you check that stuff out because it's not always told to you up front. And you do have to click into the details or the fine print to really understand what your day is going to look like and how much travel you're going to be doing. This is really important, especially if you have kids and you have really young ones that don't do well traveling long distances. It's just very important that you realize the excursion isn't always 2 steps away from the ship. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. And it's just something to keep in mind when you are booking your excursion. Okay, we have a fun little segment here on the show where we talk about roll calls. And I've got something here from a roll call that I found this week. Man, these roll call pages, they're gold. They are golden nuggets of people's experiences from cruise lines. And if you don't know what a roll call page is, again, it is a group that you can join on Facebook or the Cruise Critic website, where you can meet other people that are going to be on your sailing. So, if you're going on oh my goodness, I don't know, Freedom of the Seas on March 1st, 2023. You can search that on Facebook, and then there'll be a group there for you to join. I don't think that's a real sailing. I just made that up. But this week's roll call, I'm not going to say where it came from. This is just, I'm excited to see the comments roll in on this one. All right. I'm just going to read it word for word. This may be an unpopular opinion, but I don't care. I'm going to share it here anyways. I just have to vent. I hated my room. The entire cruise, all I could hear was the ocean. The waves were so loud, and I could hear them lapping up against the wall of the cruise ship. I complained, and they did nothing for me. Can you believe that? Last time I ever cruised with this cruise line, good riddance. All right, folks. If you're a first-time cruiser and you're taking a cruise, know that the waves do sometimes make noise. Now, I am sure this person was on a lower level of the ship. They might have been on like deck 1 or deck 2. And I'm sure that they had like an ocean view cabin where they were hearing the waves hit the wall. Is that annoying? I am sure that it is. But just know that it happens. And if this is something that you don't like, not cruising with the cruise line again is not the only option. There is another option where you can get a room up top. If you don't like this, I would recommend checking out something that is on, a higher deck, maybe the Lido deck or above. Um, I'm sorry to this person. Hopefully, this person is not watching this right now. If you are, your feelings are mostly valid. All right. We are going to move on to the crew of the week. And the crew of the week comes from Dorothy. Dorothy, thank you so much for sending this in. I love, again, hearing these stories. The crew of the week is Marco from the Celebrity Edge. He is a maitre d' on the Celebrity Edge. I'm just going to read a little bit here from Dorothy as to what Dorothy says. She says, "Hi, Jordan. I would like to mention a crew for your crew of the week section of the show. We had a suite on the Edge in July of 2021. This was a Caribbean cruise. And of course, since we had a suite, we were able to eat in Lumine." Just a little side note, Lumine is the restaurant specifically for suites on Celebrity Cruise Line ships. Marco was our maitre d'. He was extremely sincere in his desire to make every part of our trip as memorable as possible. He always chatted with us a few minutes every time we came in and made us feel like family. No matter where we were on the ship, if he saw us, he always stopped to say hi and chit chat a little, ask us if everything was okay, and asked us if we needed absolutely anything. This is just incredible service. This goes right in line with the type of service that Jared and I have experienced as well on Celebrity Cruises. I feel like their maitre d' program. Well, first off, the training program in general just pumps out unbelievable customer service. I mean, seriously, unbelievable customer service. But we have had maitre d's now in two different specialty restaurants situations with Carnival or with Celebrity Cruises. One on Celebrity Equinox and one on Celebrity Constellation. That was in their Blue restaurant. We had the exact same experience with the maitre d's there. So kudos and shout out to the maitre d's of Celebrity Cruises, but specifically to Marco. Marco, thank you so much for making Dorothy's cruise vacation so magical. We just here on the Wake Show want to appreciate you and thank you for everything that you do to make these vacations magical. We love the crew. We love it. And I love reading these stories. If, of course, you have either a roll call to share with me or would like to highlight a crew that was on a recent cruise vacation from one of your cruises, please email us at thewaketalkshow@gmail.com. Again, that email is below in the description of this video. I would love to get more of these. I absolutely love reading them. And I'm just so grateful for the people that have already emailed in for our crew of the week. Okay, now it is time for the section of the show. I know everybody likes this section. It's called Oh Ship, That's Cheap. And this is where we highlight one specific cruise that you can book for a very, very low cost. I try to highlight extremely high value cruises here. So like last week, we were talking all about Alaska and the Alaskan cruises that, we saw that were a pretty good price for Alaska. I want to highlight this cruise because while it is only a 3-night cruise, the price is unbelievable for what it includes. This week, we are highlighting a sailing on the Celebrity Summit, leaving April 4th, 2022, on a 3-night Caribbean voyage to Key West and the Bahamas. Now, get this. This price includes a guaranteed veranda stateroom, so a balcony stateroom with drinks, Wi-Fi, and tips included. I'm going to repeat that. This is a balcony stateroom, guaranteed balcony, which means the cruise line is going to assign this balcony for you. 2 people, drinks, Wi-Fi, gratuities included. April 4th, 2022, 3 nights, $873.96. That price is unbelievable. That comes out to about $270 per night. A lot of other cruises, especially cruises like Celebrity or more luxury cruises, will sometimes run you $1,000 a night. So to have something for about $270 per night that includes all your food, your alcohol, your drinks, and your specialty drinks, coffees, everything like that, Wi-Fi and gratuities. Y'all, we always buy Wi-Fi when we go on ships, and we typically drop $200 on Wi-Fi alone. Gratuities is typically another $100 to $200. So the value here for this is just incredible. If you're interested in booking this, feel free to reach out to me at jordan@lovelandandsea.com. This is on the Celebrity Summit. I don't remember if I said that. That is the cruise ship, but just an incredible value. I guarantee you will have a wonderful time if you were to take something like that. It's a short cruise, so it's not, a ton of commitment. If you're thinking about trying out Celebrity for the first time, this would be a great sailing to do it because it's going to give you a taste. That's what I always say 3-night cruises are good for. It's to give you just a little taste of what the cruise line is like. And I guarantee you after 3 nights, you're going to have a hard time getting off the ship. Celebrity does a phenomenal job. All right. I am going to pull up some of our questions. And of course, I know some super chats came in while I've been talking here. So I want to just acknowledge those. Let's start off here with a question. We have a question from Weather and Low 78 asks, will they require COVID test for the rest of our lifetime? That is a great question. Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't for the rest of our lifetime, I don't think so. I do think that we will see things change, but I don't think it's going to change this year. If changes happen, I think it will be closer to 2023. And I don't think anything is going to change in 2022. I'm not going to lie. I've seen a lot of comments online, specifically Facebook, of saying, oh man, thank goodness I'm going on my cruise in September because I don't want to take a test. Or I'm not going to be vaccinated, or, whatever the reason may be. I'm going to say this right now. I think in the fall, we're still going to have the same protocols. Carnival released all of their new protocols, and they're expecting for those protocols to be in place at least until the end of 2022. And I think that that is correct. The rest of our lifetime, though, I hope not. I don't think that they will. I think eventually we will see things change. Morgoth of Kryn sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate that coming in. Tom asked the question, what is the deposit amount for booking Jubilee? It does depend on what you are booking. Deposits are pretty low. I've seen them as low as $198 per room. It just depends on if you're going to purchase things like insurance beforehand, because Carnival does make you pay that up front. But if you are just going to book the Jubilee, I believe you can get a deposit for as low as $198. Sea King asks, do you think other cruise lines will have studio cabins? I saw this on another live chat and it looked amazing and economical for a traveler of one. There are studio cabins on Virgin Voyages. Norwegian has done a really good job at doing studio cabins. Royal Caribbean has a few studio cabins on like a ship here and there, but they're not across all of the fleets. I hope that cruise lines implement this more, because I think more and more people are realizing that it is safe and even fun to cruise by yourself. And cruise lines need to make it an affordable option for cruisers. I think that some cruise lines have done a great job. I'm really happy to see that Virgin has stepped up and is now allowing this, now building these types of rooms on their ships, especially as a new cruise line, because it shows that they understand there's value in those single travelers. And I hope that we do see more cruise ships doing this. It looks like Emma Cruises was in the chat today. Emma Cruises, congratulations to you on 100,000 subscribers. If you don't know, Emma Cruises just hit 100K on her channel. Emma, I want to just do a little cheers to you. Congratulations. I'm using it as another excuse to take a drink of coffee here, but thank you so much for stopping by the show today, and congrats to you. Dark Theme commented, OMG, it's the David Muir of cruise news. Oh my gosh. That's the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me. Thank you so much. Also, Emma said, plug yourself, Jordan. You're a TA. Thank you so much, Emma, for saying that. Happy 50th birthday to a loyal JJ crew member in the chats. William Farmer, happy birthday to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I see you in here every week. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for being a part of the JJ crew. I hope you have a very, very happy birthday. And we have got a $10 super chat coming in here from Jack Southwick. 2 big congrats. First, to the JJ Cruise for the successful wake show. Second, congrats on Emma for the magic of 100,000 subscribers. Yes. Again, Emma, congrats to you. And Jack, thank you very much for that super chat. That was very, very kind of you. We had the Tyler Show stop by today. If you don't know the Tyler Show, he's another great creator here on YouTube, does cruise content. Thank you so much, Tyler Show, for being here and stopping in. C King asked a question. Jordan, I will be 60 in August. Which cruise line would be great for a fam of 20 plus with adult children? School begins in August. I'm willing to do between May to July. Any advice? Whew, for 20 plus people? Um, I always say it depends on the price point that you're looking for and the experience that you're looking for. If you are looking for like nonstop, kind of just like go, 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 have a great fun party, I would recommend, Carnival Cruise Line or one of the larger Royal Caribbean ships. Of course, I really do think ships like the Mardi Gras or things like ships like Symphony of the Seas or the Oasis class are going to offer a variety of activities to keep almost everybody entertained always. So I think for a large group, one of those ships would be great. If you're looking for, and Norwegian as well, Norwegian has got some incredible ships and some incredible experiences, especially on their larger ships, like Bliss, Encore. Those ships would be great for a large group as well. Feel free to reach out and send me an email. I'm always happy to chat further through that. But 20 plus, that is I'm sure that will be an amazing cruise, and happy early birthday to you. We had Nautical Nurse Nancy in the chats. Nancy, I don't know if you're still in Hawaii or not, but I hope you have had a wonderful time sailing around the Hawaiian Islands. I'm super jealous of that cruise that you were on. Sherry asks, what can be done after final payment if a cruise drops in price? I called in and they said nothing can be done. Sherry, that is true. After final payment, typically you cannot make changes to your booking. Once you have paid, if the price drops, you are locked in at the price that you paid. Sometimes cruise lines will be really generous and offer you like an onboard credit for the difference, but that is pretty rare, especially I would say now cruise lines have tightened their rules with that a little bit more. After final payment, you are really locked in at the price. I always tell people, if you're going on a cruise and you have made your final payment on that cruise, do not look at the price. Just don't do it. Because if there's space on that ship, the price is inevitably going to drop, or, you may see like a last minute deal for that ship. And you don't want to do that to yourself. Just don't do it to yourself. Because I've done it. We have sailed on ships and have had that exact same thing happen to us, where the price drops, 2 weeks before the sailing. We call in, we tell them the price has dropped. It does state that in your cruise contract that once you're locked in at that price and made your final payment, you cannot do anything. So I'm sorry. I know that is probably not the answer that you want to hear, but that is the truth when it comes to cruise vacations. It's the truth when it comes to a lot of land-based vacations as well. They got to cut it off at some point, and the final payment date is typically when they do cut that off. All right. Well, thank you so much for everyone that joined us today. I know that was a lot of information to cover. I really appreciate you waking up with me. One last little note here that I do want to make. We will be going live tomorrow night here on the channel. So JJ Cruise will be live. I will be live with Jared at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Please mark that on your calendars. We're going to be announcing our next cruise, which is happening very, very, very soon. And I feel the need to just drop this little hint as to when our next cruise is happening. We will not be having a show next week. So the wake will not be taking place next week. We'll definitely make sure that that's noted online as well. So we will be back here the week after next. I'm just taking 1 week off. But if you're interested in knowing what the next cruise is going to be, please stop by our channel tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We will be live and talking all about that next cruise. We are really, really excited for this one. We've not been on a cruise in 6 weeks, and we cannot wait. All right. Well, thank you so much again. Cheers to you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, ciao for now.